This is ABC7 News at 7, your Suncoast News. We're here for you.
He's not going to bend on his principles, and you got to admire that. But if you're not going to bend on your principles, then you got to be a pretty good salesman.
No deal on a set of gun bills. State Senator Greg Steube once again tried to push through the legislature. The measures range from allowing open carry in our state to allowing concealed weapon permit holders to bring handguns into airport terminals, college campuses, government offices, and more. Why did his fellow Republicans say no, and what will it take to pass pro-gun legislation? Good evening, everyone. I'm Alan Cohn, and welcome to ABC 7 at 7. We'll have more on why pro-gun legislation failed to pass. But first, our top 7 stories at 7, and we begin tonight with the severe weather battering the Gulf Coast. Some roadways and locations are closed because of high winds. The Sunshine Skyway reopening less than an hour ago after being closed for more than 4 hours. Venice's jetty remains closed to the public tonight because of rough waves. As the worst of the weather moved through our area, it caused structural damage at a mobile home park in Bradenton and sent a tree into another home in East Bradenton. For the latest on our weather conditions, let's go to Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan. Bob.
Prior to that damage in Manatee County, we went on the air even before the warnings were issued and showed an area that was concerning off in the Gulf of Mexico that looked like a water spout on our shear product, which we saw a couple of years ago in that Siesta Key tornado when it moved on through. Here's what it looked like. Again, this was at 2:35, and the damage associated with this particular cell did move off to the northeast. And at this time, this was a 64-mile-an-hour wind shear product. Earlier, it had been up to about 128 right here. So it did look like it was a water spout. Eventually, the damaged track and path went in this direction. So as that cell made its way on shore, it did cause some significant damage. Now, as far as the rain goes now, the heavy weather is well down to the south of us. You can see that here. These storms are all moving off in a northeasterly direction. The news is that there are no longer any severe weather watches for our viewing area. That has since expired now. You can see just some light rain occurring right now. We're in for some more scattered showers through the overnight hours and the possibility of some thunderstorms, not many, and even if they were to develop, they should not be strong. The actual cold front is still way back here, and once that works its way through, we will see a chance for showers and storms after midnight. Again, you can see the severe thunderstorm watch is no longer in effect for our viewing area. It had been in effect for Highlands, Hardy, DeSoto, and Charlotte counties. That has now shifted off to the east with the intense line of storms. We still have a rip current advisory in effect, however, and rainfall amounts were impressive in some areas, up to 1.5 inches in southwestern portions of Hardy County. Lesser amounts into near the airport, but we had about a 1/2 inch there. And these are estimates. Braden getting about 1 inch of rainfall. Currently, cloudy skies, 76, and the dew point is at 70. The pressure, 29.78. Look at that wind, though. It's still at 22 miles an hour, and that is causing some coastal problems there, rip currents, and some minor coastal erosion. Back to you, Alan.
Thanks, Bob. And a reminder, a week from tomorrow, you can catch our hour-long Surviving a Hurricane special. Our weather team will go over everything you need to know: evacuation zones, routes, shelter information, what you need to have in your supply kit. You can also call us during the show, and the experts will be here to answer your storm-related questions. That is June 1st at 7 p.m. right here on ABC 7. New developments in the attempted murder case against a former Sarasota County Sheriff's Deputy Frank Bybee. Deputy Carson Plank, who is under investigation in connection to the case, is now out of a job. The sheriff's office firing Plank as she was charged with tampering with evidence and providing false information in the Bybee investigation. Bybee is accused of exploiting and trying to kill an elderly woman. Plank was the first to respond to the scene back in January. Investigators say she lied to detectives during the investigation. Roundabouts are becoming an increasingly common sight in Sarasota County, and the city is planning to add more. Increasingly, planners and engineers favor roundabouts for the way the design enhances traffic flow and capacity. Sarasota County's traffic engineer manager says the popularity of intersections nationwide is causing fewer and less severe crashes.
There's 90% reduction in fatalities and 75% reduction in injuries, 40% reduction in incidents with pedestrians and cyclists.
Construction is set to begin this fall on 2 new roundabouts in the city on US 41 at the intersection of 10th Street and 14th Street. Sarasota police are asking for the public's help to identify the driver in the hit-and-run crash. The collision happened on Sunday, May 7th, just before 5 a.m. when the driver heading north on Tamiami Trail turned in front of a vehicle heading south. Officers say the driver may have been in a white GMC Terrain with damage on the passenger side rear door area. The other driver sustained non-life-threatening injuries. Anyone with information is asked to call Sarasota County Crime Stoppers at the number on your screen. A follow-up now on an accident in East Bradenton that sent a toddler to the hospital. State troopers say a 3-year-old ran in front of a vehicle around 7:30 last night on Hubble Road near Pine Street. The little girl was taken to Johns Hopkins All Children's Hospital in St. Petersburg as a precaution, but troopers say her injuries were minor. No charges have been filed against the driver. A Nokomis man is under arrest tonight for running what deputies are calling a nuisance house. 53-year-old Ted White was taken into custody for maintaining the property along Albee Farm Road. The Sarasota County Sheriff's Office says they're familiar with the place. They have been there nearly 100 times since the beginning of the year on various calls, including multiple drug-related visits. The house is missing doors and windows, has bug and mold infestations. Investigators say the conditions are some of the worst they have ever seen.
There's no running water, no electric. We had multiple people staying in this house over the course of a year. As you can see, when you look around the neighborhood itself, you know, they're trying to get these people out, but these people are coming in and out at all hours of the day and time, and it's just been a mess here.
White has 1 month to either demolish or fix the property. Otherwise, the county will confiscate it. He is free tonight on bail. For decades, there has been suspicion about a link between Bayshore High School and a cluster of cancer cases among alumni. Tomorrow, the public will get an update on a new investigation. Manatee County Commissioners, school board members, and the Department of Health will hold a meeting at the Bradenton Area Convention Center starting at 1:30. There will be a presentation on the environmental concerns and public comment. And still to come, disarmed by fellow Republican State Senator Greg Steube is the chair of the committee that blocked his gun bills in the past, but it wasn't enough to get his legislation approved. Well, explain what went wrong when we return.
At 4 on Suncoast View.
Eating healthy couldn't be easier here on the Suncoast. I'm Stephanie Roberts on Suncoast View. White Picket Produce shows us how to get our veggies in every meal without even knowing it. We'll introduce you to a true inspiration, an autistic teen who was Miss Florida International. Plus, we give lacrosse a try and get ready for Memorial Day with Chef Judy's picks for the best burgers on the Suncoast.
Tomorrow at 4 on Suncoast View.
ABC7, My Suncoast News. We're here for you. Watch My Suncoast News wherever you are. On our live stream, on our newly redesigned MySuncoast.com, and a brand new ABC7 My Suncoast app, powered by the Eye Associates, providing sight for life, featuring traffic maps and live radar, and dining with recipes in all the hottest Suncoast restaurants. Visit MySuncoast.com and click on the mobile tab to download the ABC7 My Suncoast app for iOS and Android. Looking for something fun to do on a Friday night? Then come to Music on Main, the first Friday of every month at Lakewood Ranch. Enjoy free live music, dancing, great food, and lots of fun for every family member, even the furry ones. Meet up with friends, enjoy activities for the kids, or make it a special date night. And be sure to stop by the ABC7 booth and say hello. Mark your calendars for Music on Main, first Friday of the month, 6 to 9 at Lakewood Ranch. Brought to you by ABC7 and these sponsors.
Enjoy some of the best Suncoast restaurants on me. Just go to mysuncoast.com/dining, sign up for the newsletter if you haven't already, and you can win a $50 gift card to a restaurant in our area. We'll pick a winner each week, so go on our website and sign up now.
Are you Goodwill?
Yes, because when I donate
or shop at Goodwill,
I'm creating a job.
I am Goodwill, yeah.
State Senator Greg Steube is an ardent supporter of allowing those with concealed carry permits to bring their guns into schools, universities, dorms, airports, and government buildings. But until now, every year, his efforts were thwarted by the Republican chair of the Senate Judiciary Committee. Now, he's the chair of that committee, and as Adam Cellini reports, once again, Steube has been disarmed by his fellow Republicans.
Free of the 6-bill limit in the House, Senator Greg Steube filed an ambitious 70 bills in his first ever session. But could the one bill that's come to define him also make his time in Tallahassee short-lived?
And show SB 646 temporarily postponed.
For 4 years, Greg Steube watched his Second Amendment bills pass the House but never make it to a Judiciary Committee vote in the Senate. This year, not only was Steube in the Senate, he made it a point to chair that committee. But he soon learned his new position also meant new obstacles.
Most of the committees that I sat on had a one-person difference between Republicans and Democrats. So if it was something that was controversial in any way, shape, or fashion, it had challenges getting through the process because you have such a tight voting margin.
Steube's efforts to update and expand licensed concealed carry laws into places like schools, airport terminals, and colleges were met with disapproval even from his own party. Anna Terry Flores, one of the highest-ranking Senate Republicans, had strong words for Steube during a committee meeting in March.
Gun issues will continue perhaps to be debated. I don't know if they'll continue to be debated in this committee.
Mike Bennett learned how to move controversial bills in Tallahassee during 12 years on the Senate. His advice for Steube would have been a greater focus on relationships in year one.
I would have expected a little bit slower movement, maybe, especially for a first-year senator. I would have spent a lot more time building friendships and building knowledge of the other people, where do they stand.
As for volume and subject matter behind those bills, Bennett applauds Steube's motivation.
He's not going to bend on his principles, and you got to admire that. But if you're not going to bend on your principles, then you got to be a pretty good salesman.
However, former political consultant Gabriel Hammond says the aggressive first session could put Steube's political future in jeopardy.
Longer term, it's going to hurt Senator Steube within the Republican Party. There's this fringe element. And then to the right of that fringe, there's Senator Steube.
In that same committee meeting, Senator Rene Garcia suggested the debate turn from guns to depleted mental health services behind that gun violence. Hammond believes our senators should heed that suggestion.
His priorities are just way out of touch with his district.
But with a platform centered around Second Amendment advocacy, Steube won one of the most crowded primaries in Florida for the right to take those issues to the Senate.
Certainly the people of my district know where I stand on those Second Amendment issues, and they elected me knowing that I'm someone that passionately fights for Second Amendment values and rights.
He plans to go back to Tallahassee next year with those same goals, even though many of the same obstacles will be waiting.
I do not support having guns on campus. I do not support having guns in airports. I don't support having guns in school zones. I don't support those things.
Steube and Flores did find common ground on one gun bill, the one that allows concealed carry into courthouses but not courtrooms. However, that bill could not find a sponsor in the House and never made it to the Senate floor. In Sarasota, Adam Cellini, ABC7, your Suncoast News.
It's a hot-button subject, and in a moment, a supporter of gun rights and an opponent of Steube's bills. We are taking it to the trapezoid.
For years, I told everyone my Craftmatic adjustable bed was the greatest until I got the new Craftmatic Legacy. It has an adjustable pillow feature that's awesome. You're gonna want one too when you see how little they cost.
If you've ever had a bad night's sleep, call and price the new Craftmatic Legacy. It has so much more than other adjustables and still costs up to 50% less. Featuring a rising adjustable pillow rest, bedside power plugs, underbed night lights, and more. Available in all mattress types with optional heat and soothing massage for as much as half the price of Tempur-Pedic, Sleep Number, and other adjustables. Enjoy temporary relief of low back pain, nighttime heartburn, mild arthritis. Adjust the rising pillow feature to help align your head, neck, and shoulders. See for yourself with our 30-day in-home trial. So call and price one today for less, up to 50% less.
You get so much more and it still costs less. You gotta see how little they cost.
Call 1-800-237-0214. That's 1-800-237-0214. Call 1-800-237-0214. Call now.
Are you paying too much for your cable or satellite TV? The U.S. government passed a bill mandating free over-the-air digital transmission of all broadcast network television channels. That means with the new TV Freeway digital antenna, you can get free HD programming from your favorite broadcast networks 24/7 without a bill. You just plug it into the back of your TV and start watching all of your favorite broadcast programs for free. There are no contracts to sign, no hidden fees, and no monthly fees. Just free HD broadcast TV. Take it with you anywhere. Call or go online now to get your TV Freeway stick for the incredibly low price of only $14.99. But wait, call or click now and you can get a second TV Freeway stick for a second TV. Just pay a separate fee, but you have to order right now.
Call 1-800-809-5196 to get your TV Freeway. Call now or go to tvfreeway.com. So call 1-800-809-5196. This offer's not in any store. Call now.
Why settle for less? Get more for your money at Sunset Subaru in Sarasota. Subaru is rated the safest and most dependable automotive brand. And all Subaru models with eyesight are a 2017 IIHS top safety pick. Right now, you can lease the most award-winning small SUV, a new Subaru Forester, for just $209 a month, or get 0% financing with complimentary maintenance included. Get more for your money. Go to Sunset Subaru in Sarasota.
Welcome back. It was supposed to be a game changer. Greg Steube never had a problem getting his gun bills through the floor of the House. The problem was in the Senate. Repeatedly, it was the Senate Judiciary Chairman blocking Steube's bills, allowing those with concealed carry permits to bring their guns into schools, on college campuses, into dorm rooms, airports, and government buildings. Steube's election to the state Senate and appointment as Judiciary Chair was supposed to change all of that, but 10 of his 11 gun bills were shot down by a Republican state senator more powerful, apparently, than Steube, Miami Senator Anatir Flores, declaring, as you just saw, quote, "I do not support having guns on campus. I do not support having guns in airports. I do not support having guns in school zones. I do not support those things." And joining us for more on tonight's topic is Kurt Lavarello, Executive Director of the School Safety Advocacy Council, and Jeff Young, a private attorney known locally as the gun lawyer, for his work on Second Amendment cases. And we should note we did invite Senator Steube to make his case, and he declined. So, Jeff, I will ask you. Great. Obviously, this is not a partisan thing, because year after year, including this past session, it is a Republican that basically derails Senator Steube's gun bills. What are your thoughts?
Well, it is a Republican, but it's always just one Republican, and they always happen to be from Miami. So there's a question about whether how true they are to the Republican roots as they should be, because Miami is a very liberal area. So even though you may be technically a Republican from that area, that doesn't mean that they're going to hold a lot of conservative Republican style views, because they do have to get elected in that area and they do represent their constituents. So even though they are technically Republicans, it doesn't mean that they're going to stay with the Republican thoughts and desires on every single bill, because they have to do what's right for what they believe is their constituents and what they need to get elected in their district.
Republican leadership did not push this through. In fact, one of Senator Steube's bills did go over to the House without hearing, and the House Speaker didn't even bring it to the floor.
Yeah, look, I mean, people are angry with the Republican Party. When you look at the gun owners and gun advocates locally and across the state, they're not happy with the Republican Party. They consider this to be a pretty big failure for the session. Their hope was when they put Republicans in charge of both houses in Tallahassee along with the governorship that we would finally get the pro-gun bills that we wanted, and it just didn't come through. So I don't know if that's a bipartisan issue, or I don't know what their holdup is with them. I don't know if they're really truly Republicans or if they're your typical Republican in name-only style rhinos, but they certainly don't fall in line with the traditional Second Amendment rights that what I believe the local Republicans like.
Kurt, I mean, he said local Republicans. Is there a misreading in terms of how Republicans statewide feel about some of these issues?
Well, I think it goes back to even some of the previous bills that, you know, Greg Steube filed when he was in the House side of things. Here, he had his own local senator here in Sarasota opposing his gun bills. I think it'll always go back to the fact that Greg Steube's out of touch with what the people want. And people want to focus on real solutions for these issues. You know, don't forget, we had a major airport shooting in the middle of this thing that left 5 people dead in Fort Lauderdale. And the sheriff there, Sheriff Israel, came out very adamantly and said, had more guns been at that airport, it would have been absolutely chaotic at that time. So certainly that didn't help his cause. And law enforcement came out against a lot of the portions of these bills. So I don't think it was anything to necessarily do with a senator in Miami. Certainly she played a big part in this one being killed, but it goes beyond that.
No, I would venture to say that Jeff would probably say that was a sheriff in Broward County, one of the most liberal parts of Florida, that said that. But still, Jeff, the local head of the Brady campaign to prevent gun violence is quoted as saying that he was pleased. We know a majority of people in the state do not support what Stubbe is doing on campus. The question for both of you is, what is that based on, and what is, your comments that this is what people want based on? Because I have not seen really any recent statewide polling on all these different sub-issues and where the majority of Floridians, are on the issue.
Sure, I would agree. I mean, I don't know what the polls would say, what the majority of citizens are. We all just basically know, who's in our circle. We know anecdotal stories of people who we know and what we do through social media and interactions or et cetera. I can speak on behalf of the gun owner community, who of course is in favor of these. If you want to try and argue that they're not the majority of the people in the state of Florida, that could be, or it could not be. We have a lot of firearm owners in the state of Florida. There's a lot of concealed weapon permit owners, so I would say that all of them basically agree with that.
And Kurt, I promise to pick it up with you in a moment, sure. But we are just getting started with our discussion tonight, and we will continue with it right after we check tonight's severe weather.
Thanks to my volunteer, I am a better reader.
Thanks to my volunteer, math seems simple now.
Thanks to my volunteer, I discovered new career goals.
I'm a volunteer for Sarasota County Schools, so I know I can make a difference. And you can too. Give an hour, change a life.
When I turned 18, something big happened on my birthday. Every comfort that I knew, gone. This is what it feels like to age out of the foster care system in America. And this is the feeling that nearly 30,000 young people experience every year. But it can be better. You and me, working together for success beyond 18. Improve the lives of young people aging out of foster care. Learn more at jimcaseyouth.org.
Come on in, welcome to our pad. Trust me, folks, you're in for a ride. I'm driving, so relax. Unwind, leave your bum kicks all behind. Get ready to blow your mind. In Beatsville, don't be shy. Come and make the scene. Catch the crazy party inside. The hipsters here are gone. And dig, man, they're on to something big. Yeah, they're gonna flip your wig in Beatsville. Catch the gig in Beatsville.
This is an important medical announcement. Xarelto and Pradaxa have been linked to uncontrollable bleeding and even death. If you've been prescribed one of these drugs and have experienced these dangerous side effects, you may be entitled to substantial compensation. Studies show that Pradaxa can cause more heart attacks than warfarin, and other countries have already issued safety warnings against this drug. Call now for a free assessment of your case and potential money damages. The call is confidential, there's no cost, and you may be eligible. Juries have awarded millions of dollars to Pradaxa victims, and thousands of Xarelto victims are filing their legal cases. Call the Drug Watch hotline if you or a loved one used Xarelto or Pradaxa and experienced uncontrollable bleeding, brain hemorrhage, or even death. You must call now.
Call 800-793-6055. 800-793-6055.
Our discussion of the failure of pro-gun legislation in Florida's legislature continues in just a moment, but right now let's get an update from Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan on the latest on the Suncoast storms. Bob.
Yeah, get a look at this. This is an impressive-looking shelf cloud of a severe storm that was moving ashore on Longboat Key this afternoon, shortly after 2:15. This one snapped from Lido. Damon Powers getting that impressive-looking shot right there. And here's just some of the damage that was recorded with the possibility of some straight-line winds or even a funnel cloud or tornado. We haven't determined that yet from the National Weather Service, but this was in West Bradenton. And this particular a mobile home. The lady, the occupant there, is not going to be able to stay there tonight, possibly because of the result of the roof being peeled off and more rain on the way. Tree down on Proctor Road. Pam Dalton sending this one in as a rather large tree limb there was ripped out and thrown down on the ground there as a result of the strong winds. Casey Key webcam also showing high surf continues to hammer the beaches, and that means rip currents are a danger all up and down the area beaches right now, and will stay that way through this evening and tomorrow morning. Winds eventually subsiding later on. Now, earlier today, we had this wind shear product from our Doppler radar, and this is indicative of what we saw with the tornadoes that moved through Siesta Key a couple of years ago. And this one, again, showing up as 128-mile-an-hour wind shear gate to gate. What that means basically is they had rotation there near Whitney Beach, and that was just to the west where the damage occurred. And then shortly thereafter, just a few minutes, another one showed up there just over North Sarasota, heading off toward the east. It basically was moving off toward the east-northeast, and right there is where you see them kind of merge and meet, and this is where we had that damage reported with the possibility of a tornado or straight line winds, but that was very impressive looking there. The severe weather now threat at least is well down to the south and east of our viewing area. There's another frontal boundary back here. This is the actual cold front and the low pressure area over the deep south, bringing that cold front our way. Right now, some light rain into Venice, heavier rainfall well east of Highlands County now near Okeechobee, and again, the cold front is going to produce a little bit more rainfall later on tonight and tomorrow morning. Shouldn't be a whole lot, but rainfall amounts haven't been all that impressive, although an inch in parts of Hardee and DeSoto counties. And down near the airport, we had about a ½ inch of rainfall right there near Whitfield Estates, also over a ½ inch, a little bit more on the way. Well, currently we have mostly cloudy skies, 76. The dew point is at 70, and the pressure 29.78 inches. That is low, and the winds are strong out of the west-southwest. A small craft advisory remains in effect and will do so tomorrow morning. Choppy conditions out there. Low tide upcoming 7:33, just a few minutes. The high tide will be at 1:34. Tonight, mostly cloudy. A few scattered showers and storms still possible overnight. They'll be scattered about. A slight chance for a few morning showers tomorrow as the front clears. Look at that temperature, nice, 80 degrees. West winds at 10 to 15. The extended forecast then calls for a beautiful day on Friday. And a warm-up for the weekend, but still sunny and rather dry right through Memorial Day. Alan will be right back after this. Stick around.
We asked you, Suncoast, why do you like ABC7?
I like ABC7 because it's local.
It gives me all the local news, local weather.
It's so local and so community driven.
Kelly Wilgus does a great job.
John Scalzi, that's my guy.
Bob Harrigan is wonderful.
Stephanie's my favorite. I like Scott Dennis.
I like them all.
We're all very grateful that you cover what you do and you're here to participate with the community.
ABC7, your Suncoast News. We're here for you.
Who else has been taking your prescriptions? Keep your medicine and your family safe and secure. Mind your meds. To learn how we can help, visit the Partnership for Drug-Free Kids at drugfree.org.
Invest in Kids is a $7.5 million project to build a new Boys and Girls Club in South Manatee County. I'm Caleb Grimes, and I was a club kid. It's where I learned important life lessons, leadership, integrity, responsibility, and baseball. Thousands of kids attend the Boys and Girls Clubs, and after years of use, their club is slowly falling apart. Help us invest in kids. Make your donation today.
Thank you!
When you want to get away from it all, to a place where you can do everything, or nothing at all, surrounded by natural beauty and all the modern amenities you might desire, then you'll want to be here at the Wannabe Inn on the beautiful shores of Manasota Key, Florida. To plan your escape, log on to wannabein.com.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, we are discussing why a number of pro-gun bills failed to make it through the committee in the state legislature for yet another year. And our guests tonight are Kurt Lavarello of the School Safety Advocacy Council and Jeff Young, known locally as the gun lawyer. So you have a whole bunch of bills from campus carry to the airport bill, the school bill, and this year, like other years, Kurt, it's really one vote. One Republican senator from Miami this year, the chair of the Senate Judiciary last year. That is the difference between making those bills, being able to get out of the committee or not. Are you concerned with such a small margin? Next year may be a totally different deal.
Sure. I was concerned when Greg Stubbe became the chair of the committee. And so certainly, you know, having one vote advantage to this situation is not something to sit back and relax on. And you know, he's already said he's going to present the bills again next year. So it is going to be an argument and a fight next year as well. I think the thing that bothers me most about Greg Stubbe is over the years I've known him and I've known his bills that he's filed is he's not willing to listen to the other side. I mean, he's an individual that if you oppose his view, you're censored on Facebook, Twitter. He only wants the views that are supporting of what he wants to accomplish, and that's not conducive to good politicking. I mean, I've been friends with both sides of the aisle here, and we've had very sensible discussions on a number of these issues, but not with Greg Stubbe.
Well, and we should remind our viewers that we did invite Greg Stubbe to be on this broadcast tonight, but he declined. And Jeff, you are not a representative of Greg Stubbe, but is that an issue that a lot of these bills are, they're controversial, whether it's guns in schools or open carry or in the airports, so forth, and that maybe the senator would get farther if he was more willing to negotiate and talk to people who do not share his position on all these issues.
Sure, I mean, you could say that about a lot of politicians, obviously. Yeah, I don't speak personally for Mr. Stubbe. I don't know how his personality is up there or what he does with his Facebook social media. But I think there's a lot of politicians that have that. But I think the issue here is for him and for a lot of gun owners is these are core principles. There is no movement on these. If you believe in the Constitution and you believe in the Second Amendment, and you believe somebody should be allowed to, let's say, open carry, I don't know what conversation you can have with the other side that's going to change that. I don't know where the negotiation is there. If they're against schools like you heard the senator from Miami say, no guns in schools, I'm against this, I'm against this, I'm against this, and she went through her litany of lists. So if you got Greg Stubbe on one side that's for it, and somebody like her who's against it, I don't know how they have a conversation or have any sort of middle ground. I think what you have to do at that point is put it up to a vote. What I don't like about the system is that one senator can just stop it like that. So essentially she's saying the people in her district are more important than every other district because she's not even going to allow it to come to the floor for a vote. That's a problem with the Senate rules, not necessarily what the items inside the bill are about.
Right, but the leadership in the legislature indicated that there was really no appetite for a lot of these bills, and perhaps that may be indicative that even if it got past this committee, that leadership would not have brought it up. The question, Kurt, is so often I hear people who are concerned about gun violence say, we're not suggesting guns be taken away from people. We're just asking for reasonable measures to make it harder for people who should not have weapons to get them. But if both sides are so far apart in terms of their ability to actually talk to each other, what chance is there for people who have concerns about gun safety and people who have concerns about gun rights?
Sure.
To getting anything done?
Well, I think there is you have to move forward with the open dialogue. And I was sharing with Jeff earlier that you take a state like New Jersey, who just passed allowing folks to come into schools and they're a very liberal state in New Jersey, yet they passed it with some very reasonable recommendations. So the person who now carries there has to be a sworn law enforcement officer. They go through all the training. They become a trained law enforcement, reserve deputy in that sense, and they have to all the training. So that was a big movement for a state like Jersey to move. So I don't think it's a closed door issue. And again, I've approached Greg Stubbe about some of these options to just open the dialogue, and I've been shot down every time.
But even what Kurt describes there in terms of New Jersey and law enforcement officers, I mean, would that be acceptable to gun owners?
Possibly. I mean, it's like everything else. I'm open to having these kind of discussions. I'm sure a lot of gun owners are open to having these discussions. I think what you're running into here is the problem that we're running into, just to kind of explain it a little bit. You know, Welcome to America 2017, it's not just guns. There's a myriad of issues where the parties just aren't going to talk to each other anymore. The sides aren't going to talk to each other anymore. Is it possible that people could come together on these type of gun things and come up with solutions? It could. Is that a fault of Greg Stubbe? Is it a fault of the senator from Miami? Is it a fault of the leadership of the party up there? I don't know whose fault that is, but every time these bills come up, they get shot down, it seems, by like one person or by the politicians, and there it goes.
Is that really what the situation is? Because, you know, surely that if the Senate and House leadership wanted these proposals to go through, they would have found the way. They've clearly indicated that there was no appetite, as we saw in Adam's story, for anything that is along those lines that controversial. So the question is, you know, are there reasonable folks on both sides of this issue that would, you know, do it like the old days in terms of passing legislation that was a matter of negotiation?
You know, there might be, but if they're so confident that there's no appetite for it, then why not just allow it go up for a vote and get shot down 90-10, and then they can go back and say, look, there was no appetite for it. The American or the Floridian people don't want it, as evidenced by their legislators' vote. But when you just have the small portion of them, whether it's the leadership or one person or whatever, that doesn't even allow the vote to come to a floor, it's then kind of hard to come forward and say, well, we know what the citizens of the state of Florida want. They have no appetite for this. Well, how do you know? You didn't even let their elected officials vote for it. That doesn't seem very Democratic or Republican to me.
Kurt, what about that?
Well, I think it's also the context in which Greg Stubbe presents a lot of these bills. It's typically following a tragedy, and he brought this up right after the Fort Lauderdale airport shooting to try to use that as a springboard for his legislation. And unfortunately, it backfired on him, and it was used against him in the legislation as well. So I'd also question the fact that, didn't Greg Stubbe know that Senator Flores was going to be against these going into this? I mean, she was on that committee ahead of time, and certainly she's opposed gun bills in the past.
You're shaking your head.
Well, I would say I don't think so, because after this happened, there was a lot of articles that came out through pro-gun rights groups and whatever, that they were all taken aback by her stance on that. She had gotten, my understanding, as an A rating from the NRA up until the video got released of her standing up there and saying, this isn't going to come in, this isn't going to come in. So I actually don't know whether Greg Stubbe had any idea of that or not, because the rest of us in the gun community didn't.
All right, let's take a quick break, and when we return, we'll have final thoughts from our guests. Plus, stay tuned for an update on tonight's severe weather.
Have you ever wondered what it's like to save a life? Find out by donating platelets at Suncoast Blood Bank.
I'm Haley Wilgus, ABC7. Platelets aid in the clotting process and are vital in the treatment of cancer and surgical patients, trauma victims, and critically ill newborns. It's tough to keep enough on the shelves because they only last 5 days. To donate, call this number or visit scbb.org, and you can help save a life.
ABC7 congratulates Suncoast Blood Bank on 65 years of serving our community.
Enjoy some of the best Suncoast restaurants on me. Just go to mysuncoast.com/dining, sign up for the newsletter if you haven't already, and you can win a $50 gift card to a restaurant in our area. We'll pick a winner each week, so go on our website and sign up now.
It's no small wonder anybody loves it all.
I just love art that moves me.
No small,
I mean really moves me.
One.
Sunset Fiat of Sarasota presents No Small Wonder. High performance style. Let the art of Fiat move you.
Is your mop a dirty, disgusting mess?
You need the Hurricane 360 Spin Mop System, the only mop and bucket that spins the dirt away. A system that cleans practically anything and everything with super absorbent microfiber. Dip it in the washer side and the mess releases into the bucket. Then place it in the dryer side and push on the pedal. You get a clean mop head that's practically dry and ready for more. And your hands will never again touch a dirty, disgusting mop. The heads are washable and reusable. Get the Hurricane 360 Spin Mop System for just 2 payments of $19.99. You'll also get a Sticky Buddy, the reusable sticky roller that picks up pet hair and lint and washes clean in seconds. You can take advantage of our 2-for-1 Pick It Up special and get a second spin mop set. Just pay additional shipping and fee. And we'll upgrade you to free priority handling. So don't wait. Order now.
Call 1-800-394-1524 to get your Hurricane Spin Mop double offer. So hurry and call 1-800-394-1524. Call now.
Welcome back. Senator Stubbe's gun bills may not have made headway this session, but could they fare better in years to come? Do Floridians want expanded gun rights? Our guests join us right now for final thoughts. And Jeff, I'll leave that question to you. Do Florida residents want expanded gun rights?
I think it's like anything else. I think some residents do and some residents don't. I mean, this topic more than any other probably has a large group of people on opposite sides. I'm very in tune with the gun community, and I know that gun owners in general want expanded Second Amendment rights, and they will support Senator Stubbe if he continues to fight for them. They like him. They think he's doing a great job. I know that we want it, and we hope it goes through in the future, and we'll keep pushing it, and we'll keep voting for people who are going to be on our side.
Kurt, Gabriel Hammond in Adams' story said that in the end, this is going to bite Senator Stubbe, but realistically, do you think that's going to happen?
No, I don't think it's going to be as big as a bite as they're making it out to be. I think he's still going to be there. He's still going to present these issues. You know, at the end of the day, I served as a law enforcement officer for 25 years. I think what people want out there are sensible issues. I know our law enforcement community certainly does. We want sensible issues, not an issue where we're recreating the OK Corral and the Wild Wild West. That's not what we want. I don't think people want that.
So what do? Do you keep fighting Senator Stubbe every sense of the way and bringing issue by issue up, or what's the strategy?
Well, I think this year Senator Stubbe fought himself more than anything else. I mean, he kind of laid the groundwork where he's going to have a difficult time in the future. It's not going to be a walk in the park like he thought it was.
Jeff, I'll give you the last word.
We'll see. I mean, every year there's new people that go up there. There's new issues that come up. There's new incidents that come up that could change people's minds on things. So we'll take it one step at a time.
All right. Thank you both for being here. Kurt Lavarello is Executive Director of the School Safety Advocacy Council, and Jeff Young is a private attorney at the law offices of Jeff Young. He is known locally as the gun lawyer. When we return, we'll have an update on tonight's severe weather conditions, plus supporters and opponents of medical marijuana in Florida have common ground for once. Both groups want state legislators to call a special session to implement regulations for the drug. We'll have details in our primetime headlines.
The Alfa Romeo Quadrifoglio charmed us all and crippled the competition. Rediscover your passion for driving at Alfa Romeo of Sarasota.
Thank you.
You got a king?
Go fish! In your face, in your face,
It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.
I knew I could get myself out of this. I just needed some hope and some help.
I took the first step to recovery when I made the call.
If you're depressed, drinking, and using drugs, you may need help.
And the Affordable Care Act guarantees coverage of substance abuse.
Call the Addiction, Hope, and Helpline now for a free assessment.
I had problems just getting to sleep, drinking and using pills every night.
I feel like I'm losing control. I'm afraid I'll lose my job or even my family.
Are you losing hope? You can recover and get back on track. Call now for hope and help with proven, gentle recovery programs.
I never thought that I could be somebody who didn't drink and use drugs.
I have something to hold on to for strength. I'm in recovery, getting the help I need.
Call the Addiction, Hope, and Helpline now for a free assessment with someone who cares.
Call 1-800-764-8708. That's 1-800-764-8708.
Alfa Romeo got a lot right with the Giulia. But the handling alone is sufficient reason to get one. Rediscover your passion for driving at Alfa Romeo of Sarasota.
Your primetime headlines are coming up in a moment, but right now let's get a final check on our forecast from Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan.
Alan, some pretty rough weather moving through here. We expected a slight chance for severe weather, and we got it over North Manatee County and also western Manatee County right around 2:30, 3 o'clock this afternoon. A line of intense storms making their way through, producing winds up to 60 miles an hour, and there's still some damage reported at a couple of mobile homes, a couple of trees down as well. You can see that line making its way through between 2:30 and 3 o'clock, and that's when the warnings were issued. And wind gusts up to 50 miles an hour at the airport there. And now most of the heavy weather is well away from us. We still have a little bit of a weak frontal system to the north. That cold front is going to bring us a few showers, maybe an isolated thunderstorm. Atmosphere will have a chance to destabilize a little bit overnight, so I would expect to see some of this shower activity move through, say, after midnight, and bring with it some cooler temperatures tomorrow. Highs only around 80 degrees, well below the average. Right now, some light rainfall in South Sarasota County. That's about it. Currently, we have a few clouds. In fact, more clouds than sun. 76 on the temperature. Dew point is at 70. But look at those winds, west to southwest at 22 miles an hour. And that's the biggest downside to our weather right now. Small craft advisories. We have rip current advisory. And top of that, looks as though we could see some minor coastal flooding, especially around high tide, just at 1:30 in the morning on Thursday. But those winds will let up a little bit tomorrow. Still breezy, but not nearly as windy as today. And notice that northwest component, which will usher in some cooler and drier air. We'll look for a lot more sunshine in the afternoon, too. Should be a real nice afternoon. And then to start things off on Friday morning, we'll be in the 60s across the region. You'll have to enjoy that. And looks like some clouds around in the morning, maybe a sprinkle here and there. By midday, we'll warm up only into the low 80s as a result of that cooler air filtering in behind this front. You can see this large area of low pressure kind of air pinwheeling around it out of that northwesterly direction. That will filter into our area beginning tomorrow morning. Still some tornado watches in effect to our north into the Carolinas as well as into Kentucky and Tennessee. But the overall forecast, the futurecast showing the showers blowing up occasionally overnight, just some showers, not anticipating anything severe. And then the cooler air, I should say, moving in throughout midday tomorrow, clearing skies out as high pressure builds in. And no real threat of any rainfall right through the holiday weekend. So Memorial Day weekend looks to be really nice, although it will warm up a little bit. We'll start to see highs back near 90 by Monday. Well, look at this cool air. It's spread all the way down south into St. Louis and Atlanta at 73, 60 in Chicago right now, 60 degrees in Detroit, Toronto at 68, but much warmer. The heat is on in Phoenix at 106 degrees. Well, the forecast for boaters shapes up like this. Tomorrow, a small craft advisory remains in effect. We will see the possibility of some strong winds and seas in the morning, but they'll subside to 10 to 15 in the afternoon. Choppy conditions out there. Better boating starts Friday, and that will continue through the weekend. So if you plan on boating this weekend, holiday weekend looks to be pretty good. Sunset in just a few minutes, 8:17. Sunrise will be at 6:37. The forecast, mostly cloudy. A few scattered storms after midnight, 78 for a low. Nothing too severe, partly cloudy, and slight chance for a shower or two in the morning, high of 80 degrees. The temperature well below average tomorrow. And the extended forecast, beautiful on Friday. The weekend looks good too. Lots of sunshine, just a little bit warmer. Prime time headlines is up next with Alan. Stick around.
Is your old garage door stuck or broken? Would a new one give you a lift? Let Precision Door Overhead Garage Door Service of Sarasota come to the rescue with prompt and affordable repair service. Replacement doors come with an array of styles and colors, and they are rated to meet and exceed Florida standards. From estimates to installation, your satisfaction is our priority. If you're not 100% satisfied with any product, service, or installation, we will make it right, because Precision Door Service is a name you can trust.
Today, the air is perfect. Inside. Expect more from your cooling and heating. Daikin.
It's Lincoln's summer sales event here at Alex Karras Lincoln. Drive a brand new 2017 Lincoln MKC Sports Utility for $249 per month or 2017 MKZ for $299 per month. We are proud to introduce the newest addition to the Lincoln lineup, the all-new 2017 Lincoln Continental. We have a great selection and ready for immediate delivery. Alex Karras Lincoln, affordable luxury, winner of the prestigious 2015 President's Award, serving Florida's Suncoast since 1978. We are located 2 miles north of the Sarasota-Bradenton Airport on US 41.
Is your mop a dirty, disgusting mess? You need the Hurricane 360 Spin Mop System, the only mop and bucket that spins the dirt away. A system that cleans practically anything and everything with super absorbent microfiber. Dip it in the washer side and the mess releases into the bucket. Then place it in the dryer side and push on the pedal. You get a clean mop head that's practically dry and ready for more. And your hands will never again touch a dirty, disgusting mop. The heads are washable and reusable. Get the Hurricane 360 Spin Mop System for just 2 payments of $19.99. You'll also get a Sticky Buddy, the reusable sticky roller that picks up pet hair and lint and washes clean in seconds. You can take advantage of our 2-for-1 Pick It Up special and get a second spin mop set. Just pay additional shipping and fee. And we'll upgrade you to free priority handling. So don't wait. Order now.
Call 1-800-394-1524 to get your Hurricane Spin Mop double offer. So hurry and call 1-800-394-1524. Call now.
Now for your primetime headlines. The investigation into the deadly terror attack in Manchester, England continues. British authorities are confirming the bomber didn't act alone. So far, authorities making 5 arrests in the UK and more overseas. ABC's Ariel Rashif has details about what prompted security officials to raise the threat level in the UK to critical.
British authorities working to untangle a web of suspected terrorist activity at home. And the investigation now stretching abroad. Libyan security detaining the younger brother and father of concert bomber Salman Abedi in Tripoli. Manchester police raiding several areas of the city, arresting at least 7 people believed to be connected to Monday's bombing.
You know, the fact that he's been able to live there for so long and, you know, sort of live under the radar and live in obscurity it's appalling.
But Abedi was known to British intelligence, at one point monitored as a possible terrorist. The 22-year-old using an improvised explosive to turn a concert into a scene of senseless carnage. An examination of the deadly device leading police to confirm involvement by a broader network, causing authorities to raise the terror level to critical, the highest on the scale.
I think it's very clear that this is a network that we are investigating.
Fears of a broader terrorist plot prompting the deployment of hundreds of soldiers to guard high-profile sites like Buckingham Palace and 10 Downing. Armed police patrolling highly trafficked civilian areas. An uneasy public returning to the streets, pausing to remember the victims.
There's nothing that any of us can really do from this end, but you just want to do something, and even if it's just a few flowers, just to say, you know, we care.
And for local law enforcement, personal tragedy. Manchester police confirming one of their own was killed in Monday's bombing. We also know 20 people remain in the hospital in critical condition. Ariel Reshef, ABC News, Manchester, England.
President Trump continues his first overseas trip since taking office. So far, the president has met with leaders from Saudi Arabia, Israel, the Palestinian Authority, and the Vatican. Next on the agenda, a NATO conference in Brussels and a meeting with the King and Queen of Belgium at the Royal Palace. But before the president left Rome, all eyes were watching as he met with Pope Francis at the Vatican. Last year, then-candidate Trump and the Pope openly disagreed on immigration, economic policy, and climate change. But today, it was all pleasantries and talk of peace.
For a religious leader to question a person's faith is disgraceful. We can use peace.
Back in Washington, however, there is no peace in the investigation into Russian election meddling, and President Trump is now expected to hire a private attorney representing him on all things Russia. Here in Florida, pressure is mounting for state lawmakers to call a special session on the regulation of medical marijuana. 71% of voters supported legalization last fall. However, legislators weren't able to agree on how many companies should be allowed to grow and sell the drug, for once pro-weed and anti-drug groups having something that they could agree on, demanding lawmakers return to Tallahassee to do their job.
The people of the state of Florida voted for this. They voted to implement this and put it in the Constitution. We believe that the people that represent those citizens should take the time and the effort to to implement it in a compromised fashion.
Right now, the legislature's failure to act leaves the rollout of medical marijuana in the hands of the Department of Health. Vermont is dealing with its own marijuana issues. Governor Phil Scott, no relation to our own governor, says he won't sign a bill to legalize recreational marijuana. Instead, he is sending it back to his state legislators, suggesting they make changes in their own special session. 8 states and the District of Columbia have legalized marijuana for recreational use. Governor Rick Scott visiting the Suncoast today to celebrate job creation growth. Scott met with workers at the aerospace manufacturer Honeycomb Company of America in Sarasota. He praised the company for creating 12 jobs last year. Scott also used the appearance to elaborate once again on his opposition to cutting funds for the state's economic development and tourism marketing agencies.
The politicians in Tallahassee turned their back on 2 programs that really have been instrumental in job growth. One is Visit Florida, where we market our state to get more tourists, which is 1 of every 6 jobs are tied to tourism in our state. The other is Enterprise Florida, which helps companies like Honeycomb get more business by being part of trade missions.
Scott butted heads with House Speaker Richard Corcoran throughout the legislative session over this issue. And new tonight, Governor Scott is vetoing a bill that would have allowed grocery stores and big box stores to sell liquor. Scott's decision comes after more than 7,500 phone calls, emails, and letters were sent to his office asking for his veto. Now to Clay County, Florida, where murder charges are being brought against a fentanyl dealer whose customer overdosed on the drug. 18-year-old Ariel Brundage died in November. Toxicology shows the deadly opioid was responsible. Under a recently passed state law, Trumaine Muller will be charged with murder. He allegedly told the victim she was getting heroin and not fentanyl. The sheriff's office wants to send a message, but the attorney in the case says it will be tough for them to prove intent.
I know I shouldn't take situations like this personally, but I do.
It just can be difficult to prove something like intent in this spot.
Muller was previously arrested in February on drug charges and possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. An unusual scene in Miami Bond Court today. A man representing the comic book villain Joker appearing before a judge. 29-year-old Lawrence Sullivan was arrested for pointing a gun at passing drivers. He tells police he's a tattoo model. Bond was set for Joker at $5,000. That's all the time we have for this evening. I'm Alan Cohn. Thanks for joining us. Have a great night.